try to play this guitar one more time. One more, okay? We'll try to do this guitar one time. I think there's something wrong with it. Yeah, well, we got no drummer, we got no bass player, no drummer.
There's a drummer here, man.
Yeah, at this point we're going to break open and pull it like we got the whole time to do. Yeah, I want you to play right now. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to, this is kind of the old patrol here. Oh my Lord, she's getting her frisbee back. I'm getting my control back myself. Hold on. It's the old dog patrol. It's that one that kicks Dan up all the time. Dan the dog's deaf, so he can't hear you when you tell him, but I'm sure if you send him your best regards, he'll get it somehow or other. They're gone down. What's wrong with me? Don't answer that, I asked him. Ah, yes. The pause and refreshes after they break all the glasses. Sit down and play. We got musicians now. Yeah. What's the matter? Sit down. Woof, woof. Yeah, I'm gonna play. Eric Moore on the keyboards. He always cantankerous Eric Moore on the keyboards. world. Didn't have nothing back there was fighting for. Now I don't claim to be a hero, but I know I ain't no chump. Now one of my neighbors kid go around the Nicaragua area and talk. That's when the day rolled off in the sun. I have been this time. But that time is long gone and over now. And I don't get me no justice. That's when we're getting there in the house. Coming down. And I'm just about to go out of my garden mind. You get the 1,000 yards there, I swear you're gonna scare yourself so blind. Now my baby has that routine in the circus did well. Oh, we have 2 years to live. Ain't an orange done took my baby. Hey, Richard Nixon, what more have I got to give? Just take one time. But the time is all gone and over now. Let's hear it for the piano. So good, I got to do it again. Oh yeah, Lord, Lord have mercy. I don't think I'm too deep into it now. Oh yeah, Lord have mercy. If I don't get no justice, I swear I will get even somehow. You tuned up now? Good. well, I won't speak for Gordon, of course. But we're just sitting here to have you a good time, and we hope you're going to have a good time. When it's all over, I want to go out and see, boys. We got to turn that guitar down. You can't hear the guitar. Yeah, this little thing, gonna take it down to someplace real mellow and nice.